Yes. Okay, welcome everyone to our team call. This is like a combination of calls. So this is Amy Paul's team and Stephanie Abrams and Erin Harrison and Marion Mann and just a lot of different leaders that all have grouped together, and we combine our calls because we want to work smarter, not harder. So Eva Schmidt is a diamond, the first diamond in Canada, her country, and she is just, I adore her. She's like one of my favorite people. And so she is going to share with us her story and how she built her business on Facebook and how she, anyway, I'll let her start talking and I'll shut up.
I didn't know I was going to share how I built my story on Facebook.
Oh.
But no, I'm just kidding. I'm going to share my whole story, and I'm going to share, I decided I was going to share just bits and pieces of my whole story, and that's totally going to be in there. And lately, I've had a few people request me sharing a live on their team page about the time I almost died doing my Plexus business. And people seem to really like that story, so I kind of tell it, and people relate to it so much because it's real. Sometimes you are so scared to do something that you feel like, I'm not going to make it through this, and I don't know how anybody does it. Okay, so there's my little preview. I totally go on rabbit trails, you guys, so you're gonna have to try to follow me in the trails, I guess. So I joined about 4 years ago. It was just over 4 years ago. Kristen Abart, you probably all know who Kristen Abart is. She messaged me, and she sent me this super long message that had a link at the bottom. She was a silver. She just barely started, and my first thought, like I didn't know anything about network marketing, and my first thought was, if it says join me, it's definitely one of those pyramid scheme thingies. Like that was my first thought. And my husband, who is super smart in business, he loves researching businesses, and he had been looking into different network marketing, all kinds of businesses. He was instantly completely fascinated by the compensation plan. One of the first things he said was, honey, this one would totally be worth our time. They pay fairly right from the beginning, and they don't have anyone at the top making crazy amount and hardly anything at the bottom. They have a more equal step up. And well, I trusted he knew what he was talking about, but I still said, no way. I'm not selling anything to my friends because, like, my biggest fear, and I was so scared or like focused on what people were thinking about me. I said, I'm not doing this because I don't want to lose my Facebook friends. I don't want to lose my friends. I don't want to be blocked. I don't want people to say stuff about me that I'm selling something. And I just had like a whole grocery list of reasons I could not do this. And all the things that new ambassadors say to me now. And that's really how I really truly felt really afraid to do it, because I felt like I would turn into a different person. And those were all things that I was focusing on myself, as you can tell. And the way I kind of got over that hump and started actually sharing was where I realized what the products really were, and looking into the research that people had done and doing my own research and realizing every single person needs this. Every single person can benefit from this. Like, that is a massive market. So if I believe that this can change someone's life, then I should be able to share it with them without, even if they never buy from me, even if they never join me, if I know this could help them, why would I not? Why would I keep that to myself? And I felt like by not sharing, I was being a selfish person. And that's what kind of caught me. And I was like, okay, if I'm willing to share this no matter if they buy or not, then I'm just sharing and I'm not selling anymore. So that made it really simple in my mind. I'm like, I'm telling everybody, I don't care if you can't be my friend because I'm telling somebody something that could help them, then I don't know if we were supposed to be friends. Right? It just seemed like, okay, I'm not going to lose any friends. Who would not? Right? That was one of my biggest fears, was losing the friends.
And I think we've all had that fear.
Yeah. And so it just dawned on me, like, that would be crazy for someone to unfriend someone over something like this, but it does happen, and I've completely like resigned that that's totally fine with me. Anyways, so I started sharing, and you guys, I did not have my own story when I shared. My story came 6 months in. And I had, at 6 months, I was between gold and senior gold. And so I had customers and ambassadors who had stories long before me. So whenever, so what has it done for you? I've never seen you share your story. Instead of me being like, well, nothing, or like apologizing or make kind of like stumbling over myself, I trusted in the ingredients and I trusted in the health research so much, and I believed that I could confidently say, I want you to go with me on my story. My story is just happening. It's just started. It's coming for me, and I know that it's going to work, and I know it's already working, and the results are coming. So I want you to go with me on this. And that's how I answered that question when someone would ask me if I had my story. And then around 6 months in, a huge shift in my hormones happened that had really great results, and that I'm not going to be talking about that today, but so I got those results later on. So I want you guys to always be sharing even before you get your own story. And so going on to further along in my story, I had just been sharing so far just on my Facebook because my husband's a pilot and he would be gone from 2 to 3 weeks at a time, and I was home with 3 little babies. They're not all 3 of them babies, but 3 small children. And I was home all the time with the cold, long winters that we have in Alberta, and I just worked on my Facebook. I didn't go out a lot. And so I grew the majority of my business up to Ruby just on Facebook. And I did that by making new friends on Facebook every single day. I made 2 new friends, and I followed up with people every day. That's something I've always done through my whole business, is doing those 2 things, is making sure that I make new friends on Facebook, those 2 new contacts, and following up with people every day. I would do a different number, but always 2 and 2. I would do a higher number sometimes, but always 2 and 2. And so that's how I did it on Facebook. And then it came to a point where I was growing kind of a bigger team in Southern Alberta, and I wanted to go help somebody launch their business. I had never done that. This is where my story comes in, where I almost died. I was just Ruby, and for those of you who just popped on, that's the title of my story, is how I almost died doing my plexus business. I wanted to do an event, and I kept telling myself I can do this. I was doing those affirmations, but I was still really, really scared. And so I drove like 7 hours to do this event. Guys, Alberta is giant. You can drive for 20 hours and you're still in Alberta. So I got there. There was about 15 people. That was my crowd, 15 people. And I was so, so nervous. I just kept telling myself, like all I was thinking about was like how I was going to do this, and the people were looking at me, and I was just like feeding off of my fear while I got up front, and I had my notes. I had all my notes written down, and then I started talking. And the first thing that I remember saying was, I said something about Probio 5 and enzymes. Totally was not my passion, but I started talking about it because that's what I thought people wanted to know. And my notes on my page went totally swirly. I could not read my notes. My body was physically shutting down, you guys. This is not this stage fright thing is a real thing. My ears were burning, and they were buzzing so loud that I couldn't hear. One of my level 1s was saying something, asking a question. I could not hear her. I was standing in front of a table, so nobody could see my knees, but I could hardly stand. It was so terrible, and all I could think in my mind was like, I'm never doing this again. I'm getting kind of emotional thinking about this because it was really terrible, and it was utterly humiliating. And one of my level 1s I had signed up, I think she was silver then, her name is Sherry. She's a senior Ruby now. She took over for me. She came up and she said something nice and just took over. And oh, my heart is like pounding right now thinking of this moment. This was like a turning point in my business. I went home, I cried. Like I went back to hotel. I didn't go all the way home that day. And I called my husband. I was crying. And I was like, I'm never, ever doing that again. never am I doing that again. And I want to quit. I don't want to do this anymore. And he knew me so well. He knew exactly what to say. And he just says one thing. He's like, oh, honey, don't worry. You don't ever have to do that again. I'll just do them myself. And I was like, no, you're not. You are not doing my events. No way. And that's what he said. And it was exactly what I needed to hear. And I just thought to myself, I am totally going to do this again. I don't care like how many times I'm going to be horrible at this. I will get better at this. If I don't do this, my team will never do this. They will be fearful. They will be scared. And I was just determined. And that was like an internal motivation for myself. I'm going to talk about internal motivation a little bit later. I went home and I decided that I am going to start small. I'm not going to do 15 people. I'm going to do one person. I'm going to talk in front of one person. I like recorded myself. Recordings were terrible, you guys. I was like sticking out my tongue and doing all the cuts and like I was so in my head. And the reason why this all happened was because I not one time did I think about the people in the audience who needed help. I didn't think that I'm here to share something that's going to change their life. Mm-hmm. I can't wait to see what their life is going to be like a year down the road. I was just thinking about, am I going to have my facts right? What are people thinking about looking at me talk? What if I talk too fast? Because I have a tendency to talk really fast. What if this, what if that? What if I look like this? What if I fall down? All of those things were running through my head as I was trying to share. Mm-hmm. It was ridiculous. Like that, the fear, almost like fear always comes from you thinking about yourself and being selfish in that this is about you. And that's what happened to me. So I realized that I'm like, that has to stop. I have to stop caring what I look like, what I sound like, and what people are going to say about what I say, and just share from the heart. And so I started small. I talked to just a few people, and I just got bigger. And it was about, I think it was like a year later that I went down to that same town, and I had a big event with one of my rock stars, and there was like 100 people. And it will forever be like one of my favorite events of all time. It was like victory, like all over, because I did not die. I did not stop in between. Nobody had to take over for me. I still wasn't the most fabulous public speaker there's ever been, and I probably never will be. But that's okay with me because I have gifts in different places than public speaking, maybe, okay? Maybe public speaking will always be really hard for me. Just like doing these kind of lives, you guys, if you're too scared to do something like this for your team, or that diamonds are the only ones who know how to do this, the only ones who are not scared and they have it all put together and they all know what to say, oh my goodness, that is just untruth. Everyone feels the same. Everyone feels like, what if what I share isn't something new? What if they heard it 1,000 times? What if they don't let that kind of fear hold you back from sharing something that God puts in you to say, or something that you learned? If when you learn something, that's the perfect time to go and tell your team. That'll be like, you just learned it, you can teach it that same moment. So anyway, I realized that a big thing of my journey was doing it scared, pushing through it, never trying to avoid it, but just going straight through it, because the more times you do it, the easier it is. And you have to absolutely be your own motivator. You cannot rely on your upline always motivating you to do things, or like putting on 7-day challenges, so you'll do something, or contests or incentives, or your downline might pass you, so you want to stay ahead of your downline, or all those kind of things. Those are like external motivators. They motivate you for a short period of time. For you to grow a strong, long-lasting business, you have to be internally motivated. So you have to know why you're doing this, and it has to be really strong, and it has to be what drives you. So if you're not internally motivated, like you don't know how to motivate yourself every day, then your why is probably not strong enough, and you have to figure out how to make that stronger. So I don't know how long I've been talking, but those are the things I wanted to share with you guys today, was not to wait to share your story, to just invite people to go along with you. Do it scared. I promise you, you will not die. I got close. I don't know if anybody else has come as close as I have, but you will not die doing a Facebook Live for your team, and you will not die doing an event for people and talking. And I wanted to share that I went to one of Sonia Dudley's events in Tennessee, and she, I just loved that event because it made me feel like I could, if Sonia can do it, I can do it. She didn't know the ingredients of the block. The block was new then, and she was like, you guys, this product, it's going to block like so and so many percentage of your carbs and sugars, and it's so awesome. And you guys should really try it. And the ingredients are, and then she forgot, and then somebody in the audience told her what it was, and she's like, see? And she had everyone won over before she ever got to the products, because she had told her story and everybody fell in love with her long before that. She told her struggles, she told her heart, and she told everyone why she was so passionate long before she got to the product. So that was like, I'm like, okay, I can do that. Yeah, so don't wait to share, and do it scared. Be your own motivator, because that's going to be lasting for your business.
That is so good, Eva. I love that. You're so funny about your first event. My first events, I literally watched Sonia's video, and I think I was like Ruby or Ruby, and I went to Stephanie Abrams' house, and I did an event at her house, and I literally watched Sonia's video, her presentation, and I wrote down verbatim what she said, and I tried to beat Sonia. Oh my word, yeah.
I know.
It was pretty bad.
That's how we all start. We start feeling like we need to be somebody else,
mm-hmm.
and we need to do this because they were successful. But really, people are there to hear from you. They want to see you. That's why they came, and they love you. They don't love someone else that they've never met. They want to hear from you. So you really do have to learn to be okay to be vulnerable, and okay to make mistakes. And it's okay if someone laughs at you, or someone in their head wants to say something about you that's not nice. That's their problem.
Yeah, that's their hang up. Yeah, no, for sure. Oh my word, that's good. So can you share with us a little bit how you built your business on Facebook, being a stay-at-home mom of 3 young kids? Like, can you explain to us a little bit how that worked?
Okay, so I gave a little bit of that earlier, where I always made sure that I made new friends on Facebook every single day. And so how I did that was I found groups on Facebook that full of people that had something that I could connect with, that we had something in common with. So I would have groups of homeschool moms, or groups of pilot wives, whatever it is that you got, that's your hobby or your passion or what you like to do aside from Plexus. Those are the groups that I would go into for myself, and I would go and connect with people in there. And I would never use the groups to promote Plexus in. Mm-hmm. That's not at all what I was doing in the groups. I would find people that I liked, what they posted, they're passionate people, and shared. I always, right on from the beginning, I like to share the products and the business with people. So I always had some runners right from the beginning, because I was just as passionate about the business as I was about the products. Mm-hmm. Because I was making income right away. And what I mean by that was, like, my first paycheck was like $35, and I was like, that covered my cost already. Like, right. Everything up after this is like money I made from home being a mom. I was like so excited about that. I just thought it was awesome. So, and then I made sure to follow up. You guys follow up. You guys have to follow up. You have to organize the people that you're talking to, write them down, and make sure that you're following up with them. I followed up with people. I signed up a girl this year, a couple months ago, that I followed up for 3 years. I've talked to her for 3 years. And I would just stay up with that relationship and be a friend to her. And didn't talk about Plexus with her every week or anything, but I would bring up Plexus and say, I'm still waiting for you. I can't wait until you try this stuff, because you're going to love it. And then I would talk about something else. I didn't like just talk about Plexus, but just keeping up with that relationship. So follow-up is really, really important. Don't give up on people. That's kind of I don't know. Yeah. That's all I did with the
So,
Facebook was, those are the two main things about Facebook is what I always tell my team is like connecting with people, making new friends, and following up with them. There's so many people on Facebook, so many groups. Like we have, when people say I don't have any more people to talk to, I mean, you could just go on Facebook into one group or go to the mall and there's like people everywhere. It's nonstop. Yeah, that makes me laugh when people say there's no more people.
that is great. Yeah, that's so true. Oh my word. Or that it's saturated.
Yeah.
So I heard you share one time, and I would love for you to share a little bit. You had said you look for people that are better than you. And that, so how are you, cause I mean, I think you're amazing, but I mean, like, what can you explain a little bit how,
Mm-hmm.
you're not intimidated or, something like that?
Yeah. Oh, I'm definitely intimidated. And that's when you know that you're talking to somebody that's better than you. Somebody in your mind that you feel like, oh my goodness, this person is too scary. This person is too big. This person is too important. This person, then you know you're talking to like one of your people that you feel like they're so amazing that like how they won't ever listen to me. And so I like Jessica Hogendorn. She was one of those people, and I just really focused on connecting with her with things that we had in common that we both liked. I would scroll her Facebook, see if there was what those things were. Being genuine, being you. Don't try to be someone else. When you're trying to build a relationship, don't ever try to like word something like Amy Paul, word something like Elizabeth. Be you. That's the most attractive. And yeah, so definitely I was intimidated and I shared with people that I was scared of.
Did you share through
And
Facebook?
I still do that. I do that today. I was messaging somebody that has been on my list for a while, and I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna do this again. I'm gonna go through this again, see if she's gonna warm up to me. You gotta like me. I'm gonna be your friend.
That's awesome. That's so great. I love that. Did you meet Jessica through Facebook?
Yeah, I did. We had a couple of mutual friends, and a couple of them shared some of her posts, and they were health posts that were really fascinating to me. And I just started following her, commenting on her stuff that I liked. And whenever I shared something with her, I would always say, "You're gonna love this." Like instead of saying, "Here, if you have time, could you please look at this?" I didn't say it like that. I would be like, "Oh, I'm sending this to you because I know you're gonna love this."
Let's see, someone's posted. What would an introduction message from you look like? Oh, not to put you on the spot or anything.
An introduction message. An introduction message from me?
Yes.
I don't
you and I meet in a
really
group.
do introduction. Oh, in a group?
Yeah, like say you and I meet in a group. Is that and you message me? What would you say?
Oh, I would talk about something that you said in the group.
Okay.
Like I would say, I read your comment on this and that, and that's how I would, so that they know where I found them, so they know that what I'm talking about, so that they're not like, who is this person and why are they trying to be friends with me? Okay. I don't have a message that I write out. Hey, this is me. This is what I do. Just want to tell you. Not really.
Good. That is so good. I love your story. Stephanie, did you want to add anything? Did you want to ask anything?
I don't know. I just thought it was really good. I love I love looking at your posts, and you've done such a really great job of branding yourself and having a following, having people interested in your life. And so people all the time are like, I don't do anything interesting. And you are a mom of 3 littles in the middle of nowhere in Canada, but you still find things that are that are interesting, that people like on social media. So I know some of this is, some people can learn it, some people just have it naturally. But could you share just a little bit about how you do your branding? I don't know, maybe just give people tips about what you look for through the day, or how you craft posts, because I feel like that is something that people, they don't I know for me as well, it's something that I really have to work at with branding myself with, okay, what is something that's authentic and genuine, that is interesting, that I want to share with somebody that people would be interested in. So just some of your tips would be good.
You know what? I think that we probably all feel the same about that. I think that I could look at your Facebook wall and be like, oh, that's my favorite. I love everything she posts. And you can look at me when both of us are like trying to build our brand. I don't feel like I don't feel like I'm totally there. I don't feel like that posting is easy for me, or knowing what to say or where to find good stuff to post is easy for me.
You
But
make it look so easy.
but I do, like, when something happens during the day, any small thing that I'd be like, I should take a picture of that. Oh, that wouldn't even be interesting. As soon as I say, oh, that wouldn't even be interesting, then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it anyway, because that's kind of a lie. Like, somebody's gonna think that's interesting, you know? Like, we need to stop judging ourselves like that. We need to be like, hey, this was like just a mundane thing that happened to me just now, but everyone else is going to think it's really awesome. So post about it, share about it, tell everybody why you thought it was funny or why you thought it was interesting, you know? Yeah, so I just really post things that kind of come to my mind. I really love sarcastic humor. I really love things about babies and things about pregnancies, and you know what you love, share about it.
You've really stayed true to who you are. Like, it doesn't look like you're trying to be like anyone else. I love that. Like, your posts are very Eva. They're just, fun and sarcastic, and I love going and just cracking up. I scroll through your wall. I stalk them.
Okay, so I did have another question. We have Canadian ambassadors on here, and Miss, First Diamond in Canada. So what are some of the challenges? Okay, so here's some that I know of that they have, is that when it comes to sharing products, you guys are not allowed to share health testimonies. So how do you get around that? Or how do you work through that challenge? You are allowed to share with like the business side, so you do a really great job with that. But how do you do your challenge through, sharing health things? And then what do you say to people when the shipping is high, or the products are more expensive, or, convenience orders, the subscription, and some people are like, oh, well, it's cheaper, you get a better deal if you get the double welcome pack. How do you work through those things being in Canada?
That's a lot. Okay, let's go. Okay, so first things first, we can't share anything in Canada about the products. Anything related to the products, we can't share that right now until we have our Canadian launch. So we can't share that in public. So you can't have a public event. You can't do that on your public Facebook page, anything that where the public can see, because we want to keep our company safe. We want to make sure we have a good launch in Canada. But that doesn't mean you can't personally share one-on-one or privately. So we do a lot of private sharing. We'll share with a one-on-one, and we'll do like private events and things like that. So it's not like we're handcuffed where we can't do anything. And some people maybe will give that excuse that they can't do anything because they can't share products. But you can talk to your neighbor, and you can talk to the person in the grocery store, And sharing about the business is a lot of opportunity, you guys. If you're not sharing about the business, you are really, really missing out. You need to be talking about that, because that can change people's lives in just the same way that products can. People lay in bed and worry about their finances, and you have a solution. So be excited about sharing the business. And follow people who do a good job of sharing the business, and learn from them if you're not sure where to go with that. What else did you ask? Oh, about prices and stuff. I don't let anybody have that excuse on my team. I shared the video with him that Amber makes about why people, what was it called? When people say it's too expensive. I don't know. She has a great video. It's like the perfect one. There's like no way to perfect that video. I don't let there be any complaining. If you think it's too expensive, then don't buy it. If you think it's too expensive and you're telling other people, they're going to hear that from you. These products are really, really good, and they are really, really high value. You're not going to get healthy on cheap stuff that doesn't work. These work, and they have great value, and they're priced really well. So that's what I always tell my team. If they're sharing otherwise, sharing it in an apologetic manner, they're not going to be, that's how people are going to perceive that, and they're not going to do well. So it's the same as for you guys. We might have an exchange rate, we might have a slightly higher cost in certain ways, but you guys in the US have lower income. So you guys, everyone deals with this. I would never say that only Canadians deal with this. Everyone just has to know the value of what they're sharing. So I forget what else you asked, Stephanie.
I think I did too. Convenience orders. Just how do you use that for your team, and how do you share with it maybe some verbiage that just helps people understand that this is necessary? So how do you talk about the subscription order? Sorry, maybe
if people aren't wanting to use Plexus for 3 to 6 months, heavier on the 6, like if I'll ask them. Just yesterday, there's a lady that's interested in signing up, and she asked me, like, what do you think I need, and what would be the best route for me? And I said, there's 2 ways. You can be a preferred customer if you want to try out the product and see what it tastes like, or you can be an ambassador if you're willing to commit to long-term health and use Plexus for 3 to 6 months. And I suggest at least 6. And she's like, okay, I'm interested in the 6. And I'm like, that's okay. So I can give you the best deal, which is wholesale. That's signing up with Plexus. If you just wanted to taste it and just wanted to do 1 month, there's no in between options for me when I'm sharing. If they're not ready for long-term health, I won't sign them up. I won't sign them up. I'm like, hey, you know what? Maybe like three months down the road, you'll be ready. If they just want to taste it, I'll say, hey, let's buy a bag of pink drink. That's kind of what I've been doing, and it works for me. So, and I like to have my team really, really focus on long-term health, and it's okay if people have to wait a little bit. Like, keep being there for them and keep educating them on long-term health. The long term is what's going to have the best results. And having that mindset of long term is going to have the best results for your team having convenience orders on, because that's what that means. Convenience orders means like consistent orders. If you're just signing up people that just want to try Plexus, they need to be customers. Yeah.
That is so wonderful. Thank you, Eva. We appreciate you and you're taking your time. And just one other quick question. What was the biggest hurdle outside of you almost dying that one day? What was your other hurdle?
My biggest hurdle, well, there's a lot of them. There's so many of them. And the biggest one was definitely like the public speaking thing and talking in front of people. Mm-hmm. The fear of like being successful, and the fear of changing in front of my friends and being someone else and not being true to myself. If I had to be someone else and be fake and turn into somebody else that people couldn't recognize, like my friends that I had before Plexus, then I won't do this. And so I was scared that was going to happen to me. And I was just like, what I have now is my family and my love for my family. I have Jesus. I have the same values. If I have those things throughout my whole business, it should never change. And that's why my motto has always been like, that money will just magnify what you already are. So if you thought you knew somebody, but then they got rich and became a whole different person, that's who they were before they were rich. You know what I mean? That was who they were. You can't say, oh, that person totally changed because they became successful. That's who they really were. Mm-hmm. So if you yourself, you're being true to yourself, and you know your values and you know your beliefs, you're not going to change from success. So that was one of my biggest fears. I was scared I was going to be different. I was going to have to be fake or have to be someone else. Mm-hmm. And you don't. You can just be you and help people along the way. And it's okay when people have something to say about you, that's totally okay. I've experienced a lot of that, having people say something about me to try to bring me down. But you have to get thick skin and not have that penetrate, because your value and what you have to share is so much greater than anything that someone would just make up about you.
That is so good. Oh, what a wonderful note to end on. Thank you so much for your time. And I know everybody's going to love this recording. And we appreciate you and can't wait to see you next week at Leaders.
Yay!